Well, welcome into this special edition of the Patriot Broadcasting Project. I'm your host, Bubba Starts. With me today is American cattle rancher Shad Sullivan. Shad, welcome to the show.
Thank you very much, Bubba.
Well, you do more than ranch cattle. Obviously, there's a lot of property involved with that. You have another fancy title that I couldn't remember the name to. So why don't you go ahead and tell us about that, and we'll dive right into why we're talking today.
Yeah, I'm just an American cattle rancher, like I said, and I am the private property rights chair, committee chair at RCAF USA. We're the largest self-funded and driven cattlemen's organization in the United States.
Well, and property rights are exactly what has brought us together today. We're here supporting the Maude family who are in a battle over not just property at this point, but their own lives and their livelihoods. Facing a lengthy prison sentence from the national government, big government that has grown accustomed to overreach. And that's why we're coming together to shine some light on not just this one case, but I'm sure there's several hundred or thousands of cases like this across the country every year. Can you shed a little bit of light on their situation, and we'll kind of pick things up from there?
Yeah, so about a year ago, back in March of 2024, there was an anonymous hunter that turned a no hunting sign in to the Forest Service. So the mods have 25 acres approximately of Forest Service land inside of their land on kind of on the edge. And they had a no hunting sign apparently on that, which most of us do. But apparently somebody turned that into the Forest Service. The Forest Service come out to see it, all about it. They took the sign down. And then as things went on, the Forest Service decided that they recognized that the property line or the fence line on the survey boundary was off. And now who knows? If it's off a foot, it may be off a foot. It may not be off at all. The mods have been ranching here for 114 years. Charles and Heather are their sixth generation, fifth or sixth generation. This fence in question was put in pre 1950, so long before Charles and Heather were born, or even their family or their parents were born. So whether it was really off the line, who knows? But that's really the extent of what happened. As time went on, that happened in March. A special agent by the name of Travis Lunders, who it seems like the more we learn about him, the more trouble we find out he has caused all kinds of Forest Service allotment owners over the years. He is the one in question here. And so to remedy this situation, the Mod family says, well, let's use our common sense and let's use the Small Tracts Act. Let's trade land. Let's get the fence back on. Let's just do something so it doesn't interrupt our business and go forward. Okay, so then fine, they start communicating a little bit. And as time goes on, enters special ranger, a gal by the name of Julie Wheeler. And they start talking and trying to transact, an unfolding event here that could be remedied very easily. And while they're visiting, they bring out a survey crew, right? And the problem with the survey crew is, you know, the mods own half the fence, the Forest Service owns half the fence. So really to do a survey right, you have to have a third party verification system there, right? And that wasn't happening. So as communication went forward, um, Heather and Charles asked the Forest Service, they said, you're welcome to come across our land anytime, but when you do, please notify us because you have to cross their private property to get to the property in question. And after that request was made, everything went silent. Just nothing else happened. Communication stopped. They had just previous to that, they had requested a meeting with Senator Rounds, and the Forest Service together. So the mods and Senator Rounds, they came together and said, "Hey, can the Forest Service meet on so and so date?" And Travis Lunders and Julie Wheeler said, "No, we can't. We don't have those dates available." So that meeting with Senator Rounds' office never took place, and upon that, communication stopped. Well, in June of 2024, 87 days later, um, Travis Lunder shows up armed on the Maude family ranch and hands over indictment papers, federal indictment papers for theft of government property, each to Charles and to Heather separately. Okay. And with that came a possible 5 years in prison each and $250,000 fine each for theft of government property. Now, the property in question has never had any sort of change to it. And of course, as we go on with this case, the Forest Service is coming up with more stuff that they thought that the mods were aware of, and they thought, the Forest Service is claiming all these claims, and one of those is that the mods were aware of this 4 years ago. Well, the Forest Service, the mods are like, we've never heard about any of this, and they are in good standing. They have no infractions since 1906. They have zero infractions. They are in good standing with the Forest Service even today, as they have been indicted. And the saga goes on. That's where we're at right now. We have been working with them. Several groups and individuals have been working for and with the mods to get this case remedied for since last June, really. And of course, the Biden administration was over that. They're the ones that levied the charges against them, and then we had hope that President Trump coming in would make a change in this. So far, we haven't had that change. We are screaming and yelling at the top of our lungs for Secretary Brooke Rollins, Department of Agriculture, who is over the Forest Service, to get this remedied through the Department of Justice and President Trump. Nothing has happened yet. I feel like we're getting closer to some sort of rectification, if that is such a word. But we need to do it because Charles and Heather and their two young children, these people are in their 30s, and their two young children are under immense stress and pressure. Obviously, obtaining two lawyers because they're individually indicted and holding a gag order in your own home. You can't talk about the case with your spouse is wreaking havoc on their emotional life, and such goes your financial and your physical life, right? Who knows what these bills are that are going to come from these lawyer fees, not to mention the Forest Service, if they are convicted and levied $250,000 fine, how do you come up with $500,000 when you don't have it, right?
You
And
sell the
so
land, right?
it's
I
all
mean,
that's
which
right.
at best it feels like at best it's coercion, right? They're getting all these charges leveled against them because they decided to stand up for themselves, which from the outside and just really hearing the story for the first time, and at worst, it's blatant extortion. It's just saying, well, you don't want to do what we say, then we are going to put the lien on you with the full weight of the US government and all of these agencies, and we're going to at least scare you into possibly settling over it or possibly losing your entire livelihood.
Well, I have a lot of experience dealing with these kinds of situations, and they are not new. Okay, let me get that through to you. They are not new, but what has happened really in the last 20 years is an incremental infiltration of radical ideologues into our governments from the bottom up. I mean, from the local governments clear up to the top. And with that infiltration, they infiltrate into these bureaucratic agencies. And that is what we're seeing because these people think they have power that they don't have, right? And it's trampling on not only private property rights, but it's trampling on constitutional rights. And all of this that we're seeing, Bubba, is about the land. It's not about climate change. It's not about carbon footprints. It's not about methane. It is about the land. They have to have the land. And we are uncovering more and more very interesting conflicts that there are environmental organizations out there in this area that perhaps down the road want to create a wildlife corridor, and they would have to have some of these parcels of land to do that. And so there is an ulterior motive in what's going on, and it's very dangerous. And it's dangerous to the Constitution, it's dangerous to liberty and freedom, and it's dangerous to your local economy. You see, once you take all of these people off of the land, and that's their goal, however they have to do it, put you in prison, seize the land. We see it all the time. Uh, once you once you remove the people from the land, your communities die, right? Your churches and your schools die. Your small towns die. We're already dying in rural America. And the end goal is for the global elite and the elitists across America to have control of production and consumption. And what that's called for them is sustainability. That's what this is about. They're picking winners and losers. And the only way they can have control of production and consumption is to have control of the land. And ultimately, it is all about private property rights.
Yes, and that's we actually had a big win here in South Dakota
Yes.
recently, protecting ourselves from some of these other, these pipelines, these CO2 pipelines. I know that the Keystone pipeline just ruptured or whatever they said. I don't know. A brand new pipeline is all of a sudden bursting open and spewing oil all over the land as well through private property, through
Oh,
public property. This was just days ago, Shad. So I don't
wow.
even know how I came across it. But so obviously, a lot of these things that just trample over top of private property rights is just there has to be an end. And because they've been running rampant for really the last 25 years, besides a small break therein, possibly in President Trump's first term, I think our major problem right now is that there's so much happening around the world that we're not able to cut through all of that noise for one small family to say, hey, this is a bigger issue than just one family, right? And to
Correct.
some attention brought to it, which is exactly why we're here doing what we're doing today, is to raise that awareness and to get this story out as much as we can, and to have it go out into the wider world to maybe bring some attention to this, because it could be taken care of with the fell swoop of a pen.
One
All of
pin.
this could go away and be done. We just need to cut through that noise.
What we're seeing, what has happened is with this infiltration of into these agencies, and then the Trump transition took place. The Trump transition took place. We have a lot of holdovers, and what those holdovers do is they melt back in because they know Trump is a constitutionalist and he's conservative, right? So these radical ideologues, they don't want to lose their jobs, so they melt back in and they kind of fit in until the next round of attacks can take place whenever the next leftist agenda becomes about. But I will tell you this, Bubba, this issue, and these issues are all over the United States. I hear about them every single day, and we've got to remedy all of them. But this issue with the mods in South Dakota is the preeminent issue of our time right now concerning Secretary Rollins, uh, overreach of the Forest Service, and the rest of these agencies that are overreaching. And we have to have this rectified right now. I mean, I think this is the time. We're excited about Secretary Rollins. We're excited about her leadership. She is a freedom maker, not a freedom taker. But if she doesn't act on this and drop all charges, and she has the influence to do that, I think that it's going to turn into a bigger mess than what
Right,
we can
because it sets
imagine.
precedents then. What this case would do would set precedents for them to do this to more individuals,
That's
and
right.
to levy the entire weight of the US judicial system and all of that money, right? Because that's what they're up against. They could just bleed out any property owner, right? It doesn't matter how much
Absolutely.
land you have. We can just lean on you and lean on you and lean on you and drag this out till you run out of
That's
money
right.
and you got to
Till you're
mortgage the farm
broke.
anyway.
That's right. Till you're broke. And what your listeners, the urban and urban consumers need to understand is the more people they take off the land, the more dangerous your food supply is, right? That's what this is about. It causes prices to go up because there's fewer producers. We've already lost, 650,000 producers in the last 40 years. That's the thing. And when you say that this is a precedent setter, it is not only a precedent setter on that end, it's a precedent setter on the other end. And Trump and Rollins and Bondi have the power to make this a good case, because if they don't, it sets a precedent that these overreaching ideologues and these agencies can do whatever they want. But on the other end, if they take care of this and they fire every one of them, and they all need fired, the judge all the way down, fire every one of them. If they would take care of that, that sets a precedent there and says, you know what? This administration is not going to put up with this nonsense. This is America, the land of the free, the home of the brave, where liberty reigns, and we're going to shine on the hill like we always have. But you don't get to ruin it.
So where is this case taking place at? Is this at the federal in Rapid City?
Correct.
So federal courthouse, Rapid City, South Dakota. What's the date for that, Shad?
Well, I'm really not sure. The last date I knew was April 29th. And so the closer we get to April 29th, the more pressure we're going to put on these leaders. But the mods have great leadership in their district with Representative Liz Marty May. They have a lot of support just from the constitutionalists, the conservatives of America, and certainly agriculture, and those who lease government allotments or public lands have lent great support. Now, this isn't anything that we have to get radical about. We can get this fixed and use our heads and take the high route, because we need to show some class here and say, this is what we're going to do. But I assure you, if it is not rectified in due time, and when I say rectified, I mean charges dropped.
Yeah.
This needs to go away. This is
Done.
absolutely ridiculous. But if it's not, we're going to continue to put pressure on them and they're here. What people forget is that these agencies and these government institutions are here to serve us. We're the boss. Our government is from the bottom up, not the top down. And when we have these ideologues infiltrating into these agencies, they become powerful. And I'll tell you another problem that's happening is these the coming on of public-private partnerships. Right now, even in this case, I think that we could prove that there's a public-private partnership between USDA and some of these ENGOs that are buying up this land out in Custer County, South Dakota. And so what happens with the public-private partnership is you have radical environmental organizations, or any organization, and they get all of, they were funded. World Wildlife Fund was funded to the tune of $600 million in 2023. They can take that money and partner up with the United States Department of Agriculture, the Forest Service, whatever government agency they want, and they can influence their agenda to go a certain direction. That's the dangers of a public-private partnership. Now, on the other end of that, we have heard Governor Nome, who is now the head of the HHS, talk about the use of public-private partnerships for good. We also have heard that from Secretary Rollins. I want those people to understand that you cannot use a public-private partnership, which, by the way, was enabled by the Sustains Act of 2023 by a Republican, G.T. Thompson. And what the Sustains Act did was it prioritized public-private partnerships into these agencies and allowed agency heads to make rules at their discretion, bypassing Congress. That's the danger we're in. It's not a Democrat issue. It's not a Republican issue. It's an American issue, and we got to get it stopped. This is big stuff now. This is freedom taking.
What you're talking about isn't democratic, and it isn't a republic at all. That is straight communism. That is you will do what you are told, and we're just not here for that. We have fought way too hard, especially in the last couple of years, to pull ourselves away from that, to let a family like the Maude suffer. A couple of young ranchers with a beautiful young family, to let them go by the wayside and to be trampled by one of these public-private. It just doesn't make any sense.
There's two groups of people here we have to honor. Number one is it's the men and women who shed blood for this country in the name of liberty and freedom. Those are the first ones. Number two, it's the kids that are coming behind us, coming my kids, your kids, these people's grandchildren. We have to leave this republic. We're not a democracy. I'm tired of hearing that. We have to leave this republic in a shape that those kids get to taste the sweet taste of freedom and liberty. That's what this is about. And they can't do that. We cannot do that without the ability to own private property. The very foundation of the Constitution of the United States guarantees resource access through private property.
I don't know of a better way that we could end this episode. Shad, I appreciate you coming on the program today and shedding some light on the issue. We're going to do everything that we can, reaching out and sending this episode and others to everyone that we know and encouraging them to send it to their legislators and see how far we can climb this thing up. And maybe it will finally fall on some ears that are ready to listen and we can get this taken care of.
I really think that they have listened. I think they've heard, but they got to take action now. Nothing happens until action takes place. And I appreciate you letting us get this story on your podcast. It's a very, very important story. It is really the agriculture issue of our time right now. It has to be rectified soon. We're going to pray that it does, and pray that God shows his favor on America again.
Shad, can you share with us anywhere that we can find out more information about you and your organization and this case in particular?
Yeah, so you can go to my Facebook page, Shad Sullivan, American Cattle Rancher. You can also go to my X is at Yearlands. RCAFUSA.com is a great place to go. And there you can find links to help with the financial burden that the mods have incurred. And I really suggest everybody kind of, I hate to ask for money. I'm not that type of guy, but these are big bills and these are young people and they are community people. They're family people. I mean, Charles Maude, a gentleman told me yesterday, he said, Charles Maude's never done a thing wrong in his life. And I know that he's been very influential in his local community. He was a national FFA award winner. So was Heather, was very active in 4-H as youth. They're volunteer fire people. They're all about community. And this is just a travesty.
Well, and I'd like to speak directly to Charles and Heather Maude right now and to tell them that help is most definitely on the way. You have a great team around you. Shad's been very giving of his time today to share your story because obviously you can't. And that's part of what they're trying to do to you. But we're Americans. We are here for you as well. And we're going to do everything in our power to get this stopped and to help you pay those lawyer bills that aren't going to go away, even if the charges are dropped. So
Yeah,
I think a big benefit concert or something of that nature is in order, regardless of what happens on April 29th.
that's right.